So we're looking at the full moon on Thursday the 18th of November, and as we can see there's quite a bit of cloud, but we are able to see the full moon sort of shining through the clouds, the gaps in the clouds. Basically it's able to shine through when it's thinner clouds such as we're seeing right now, even burn it right out. So anyway, there's a very strong partial eclipse of the moon later tonight, starting at around, well, depends on how you want to count it, but let's say 1:30, 2 in the morning, and then it'll be totally or almost totally eclipsed at around 4 a.m. And then the eclipse will be over around 6 a.m. So I plan to get some photos of that, and probably some video too perhaps. But I just thought I would see what I can see with the camera right now. I just had a little battery problem and one of my video clips ended abruptly because the battery was depleted. One of my spare batteries, it isn't a full-on Nikon brand battery. They basically stick to Nikon batteries, that's all I can say. The no-name ones, most of them anyway, just don't seem to be all that great. So I'm getting some interesting moody video here, and I suppose I could take some interesting still shots. Getting a clear patch coming along here, so I think I'm going to reduce the ISO. There we go. So I brought the ISO down to 1250 so that we have more detail in the moon. On the other hand, I'm losing the sky. Let's see, that's yeah, so this is a good compromise. So we're at 3200 and we're seeing, what the sky looks like, but the moon's kind of totally burned out. This is what happens when you don't have the full dynamic range. So there's a big clear patch of sky now. So not huge, but it'll last a few minutes, I think. So I think I'll change the ISO lower. Okay, so this is not reproducing exactly what I see. I'm just going to raise the camera, just pull the leg back to raise the camera, and I think I will just shift it off a little to the right there to give the moon a chance to move through the frame without, I obviously could start a new clip and everything, but I think I'd prefer to do it this way, just keep the camera running. And definitely getting some nice moody, cloudy video footage. So right now we're at 1250 ISO, f8, 50th of a second, 400mm lens. It's a Nikkor 5.6 400mm EDIF lens, manual focus lens, basically a classic Nikkor lens. Okay, so a big black cloud just covered everything up, and there's more gaps off to the right, so I even see a bit of light. I'm going to boost the ISO here so we can see what's going on a bit. You can see a bit of light there. So that's one of the things I like about this camera is that it's possible to change the ISO, the shutter speed while you're filming. The f-stop too, obviously, because it's a manual f-stop. So a fair bit of control over the camera, even in the midst of shooting. I mean, other cameras might have basically the same ability, the same features. I don't know for sure, but I'm just happy that I can, adjust the ISO, adjust the shutter speed while filming. Mainly the ISO. I mean, the shutter speed you kind of expect to be able to adjust, while you're filming. But the ISO maybe not so much. This is definitely interesting, moody footage of the moon. So this is the Beaver moon, as they call it, the full Beaver moon, Thursday, November 18th, 2021. And I'm really very happy with what I'm getting here in terms of footage. So we're back up at 6400 ISO, f8, 50th of a second. Camera's mounted on just a regular tripod, fixed mount. There's no like tracking mount involved here. Just the standard Manfrotto 55 tripod with a standard tripod head on it. We're not tracking the moon. We're letting the moon move through the image here. Should be coming in again. There it is. You can see that it's rising upwards through the frame. And yeah, I'm very, very happy with this video footage. It's quite nice video footage of the Beaver moon, as they call it. So, again, I see a clear patch coming up in just a short while, 30 seconds perhaps. We'll see a clear patch again. I might adjust the ISO downwards so we get a bit more detail in the moon. But right now I want to see the clouds. Once we hit the clear patch, I think I will adjust the exposure. But, you know, we do actually have this sort of halo around the moon. I think I'll adjust the ISO a little bit downward. That's closer to what I'm seeing in terms of the size of the halo around the moon. I think I will raise the camera a bit. I just pull the front leg back to raise the angle a bit. So this is very close to what I'm seeing with the unaided eye, except that I see more detail in the surface of the moon. I can see some Maria, whereas it's totally washed out in terms of the video footage. But in terms of the halo, you know, basically shining through the clouds, it's very, very similar to what I'm seeing with the unaided human eye. And what I see is similar conditions now. I don't see really thick cloud. I see maybe some coming along there, but for the time being, we've got this thinner cloud. So we'll be seeing pretty much the same thing for a little while. So I'm just going to let this run. I see a little clear patch coming along here that might cause the moon to be even more washed out than it is. You can see it coming along there now. And there comes the clear patch. And once the cloud passes, the moon will be all by itself in a bit of a... Oh, I was mistaking that's it. This does happen. I even almost said that it might not be a clear patch. It might actually be a darker cloud, and that's exactly what it was. This is actually, I am enjoying this footage. I really am. So yes, a darker cloud came along. I thought it was a clear patch of sky, but it was actually a darker cloud. And again, we have either a clear patch or a dark cloud coming along soon. It almost looks like this creature with an open mouth about to eat the moon. I mean, this is typical. It's a shame I can't zoom the lens, because I'm looking at something that it looks like that's the nose. What we see now is the nose. There's a mouth below it. The lens is too powerful, and I can't zoom it. It's a fixed focal length lens. If I had a zoom on, I could zoom out, and we would see it looks sort of like this creature about to eat the moon, which is kind of interesting, because that's a common myth in terms of eclipses. It's a creature eating the moon or the sun, and it's entirely possible that that idea was partially inspired by seeing what I just saw, which, you know, actually looks like a creature. There's other reasons. I'm going to turn down the radio here. We're just going to let that run.
But instead of the mayor of the town,
and yeah,
Amaya found 150 troops in the town hall, together with local vigilantes posted on surrounding.
Yeah, some pretty nasty stuff about the repression of the Maya in Guatemala. back in the 90s. I wouldn't be surprised if it's still going on. In fact, I think I saw something just recently about a Mayan activist being killed in a horrible manner just this year, which is really very sad. So see this little cloud cutting across. So what we're seeing again, quite close to what I'm seeing with the unaided eye. But the moon, as I said, it's earlier. It's totally washed out. Whereas I can see detail. I can see Mary. It's quite bright. What I'm looking at is, I'm going to actually adjust the ISO again. We're at 4,000. We'll bring it down to 1,600. So we're not seeing as much detail in the clouds as I'm seeing. And the moon, to be honest, it's still kind of washed out. But unfortunately, I wish the camera had the same. Okay, I'm going to boost the ISO now to get the detail of the clouds there. So yeah, I'm just adjusting the ISO. Like, I'm keeping the shutter speed the same, keeping the f-stop the same, just playing with the ISO in terms of where I want the exposure to be. And I'm doing this completely manually. You probably see the camera's probably shaking when I'm doing an adjustment, but this is 6,400. That's the highest ISO in terms of like an ISO that has a number attached to it on this camera, but it can go higher. But it's basically high 1 and high 2 and so on. This is, in terms of ISOs that have a actual number attached to it, 6,400 is as high as this camera goes. It's a Nikon D800 for the record. And the lens, as I said earlier, it's a 400mm f5.6 EDIF Nikkor lens, manual focus lens from the 70s, maybe the 80s. And ED stands for extra low dispersion glass. IF stands for internal focus. So yeah, here we have this cloud coming over. It's actually quite dramatic. What I'm seeing is, and it is definitely getting less and less cloudy. This is a good thing for anyone who wants to see the lunar eclipse tonight. Is less and less cloud. I mean, a little bit of cloud isn't such a bad thing. It basically adds interest to the photos. Like a totally clear sky can be kind of boring, actually. Oh, I love this. I just love this cloud action we got going here. The clouds are moving across the sky fairly quickly. You can see that in the video. They're just scudding across the sky at moderately high speed. I mean, they're not zipping across, but they're definitely on the move there. And as far as seeing the total eclipse, or I shouldn't say total, although it is almost total. Officially, it's a partial lunar eclipse, because just a little bit of the moon will be in the umbra as opposed to the penumbra. So it'll be not, it'll probably have a bit of a thin sliver of white moon still showing. Just gonna pull the camera back. Unfortunately, my tripod head is such that it only goes back so far. I can reverse the lens on the tripod, and I may get around to doing that, but for the time being I just have to pull the front leg back. But that does make the tripod a little back heavy. I mean, so if I keep doing that, it'll topple over backwards. Oh yeah, another nice cloud there. Oh, I love what I'm seeing here. In some ways, it would probably be better if I was using a less powerful lens to have more of the clouds visible, because it really is, the clouds are probably the most interesting thing right now. I'm noticing about 5 minutes left of yammering here to do if I decide to go the full 20-minute length of the clip, which I think I will. Let's just, okay, we're already at the highest ISO. It's just boosting the ISO, but decided to leave things well enough alone. So yeah, dramatic footage. I've had this type of footage before, but I do really like what I'm seeing here. It's very moody footage, and I'm almost better off shooting video than stills, because with stills, I have to have a bit of a delay on the shutter to minimize vibration, and so getting the shot at the right exact moment you want, shooting stills can be a bit problematic, whereas with video, every 30th of a second you've got an image. So what's happening here? Do I see some more cloud coming along? It looks like it. So I think I'll leave well enough alone. I thought of adjusting exposure, but I think with the cloud coming along, we'll soon see more detail in the moon. And sure enough, we do. So, yeah, I'm quite happy with what I'm seeing here, and it's definitely promising. Although I do see a fair bit of cloud, at least we can see the moon. Like earlier, it was like totally overcast, couldn't see the moon at all. So at least now the cloud has thinned out enough to be able to see the moon. And sometimes there are some actual clear patches. So it's hopeful for later on. Just hoping for the best in terms of being able to see and photograph, and perhaps even take some video of the eclipse. I think once it's totally eclipsed, it'll probably have to stick to long exposures. I don't think I'll be able to shoot video of the totally eclipsed moon. Excuse me, I think it's going to be a long night. And again, the moon seems to be getting eaten up by a fairly thick cloud here as it rises to the top of the frame. So, 2 minutes and less than 30 seconds of footage left, so I think I'm just going to let it run. I think I will just pull back the camera a bit. You can see it's almost starting to topple there, but we'll just leave it here. And we can see that the moon is moving from left to right across the frame, and obviously rising up towards the top of the frame. That's why I have to pull the camera back. Okay, so very thick cloud, totally blocking. I mean, to me it looks like dark gray. On the screen it's black, but what I'm seeing is dark gray cloud. I mean, I can see a bit of light here and there shining through. I expect it'll become visible again shortly. There we go. So I've enjoyed this. I hope anyone watching this will enjoy it. I'll put it up on YouTube. In fact, I think I'll probably put it up on YouTube like almost immediately, because there's still plenty of time before the eclipse, so I can upload this footage. So again, it is right now, it is Thursday, November 18th. I don't have the time in front of me. I'm not even going to guess, but it's well before midnight on the 18th of November. It is the full moon. It's called the Beaver moon, and soon, in a few hours, it should be totally or almost totally eclipsed by the Earth's shadow. We should be seeing a red moon, or what is also known as a blood moon, later tonight, and hopefully I'll have some nice photos of the blood moon in a few hours. It should be totally eclipsed at around 4 a.m. in the morning. And so this is it. We're just got 13 seconds left.